Take a moment now to settle where you are. Let your body become heavy, supported, safe. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to solve. Just allow my voice to be present with you. Soft, steady, unhurried. Notice the surface beneath you, how it holds you without effort. If your eyes are open, they may begin to feel comfortable closing. If they are already closed, that is perfectly fine. Take a slow breath in through your nose and let it out gently through your mouth. Again, slowly in and slowly out. With every breath, your body learns that it is safe to rest. Now, begin to imagine the air around you changing, cooling slightly, becoming quieter, as though the world has decided, just for now, to slow itself down. And as you rest there, calm and still, our story today sets sail far from noise, far from urgency, far from time as you usually know it. Our story today begins on a hill, a wide open hill, rising gently from the land. It is late evening in the medieval countryside. There are no towns nearby, no roads with traffic, only grass and sky, and the quiet companionship of animals. The hill is covered in short grass. Each blade bends softly when touched. That the hill feels familiar. He never does. White and gray shapes resting in the grass. They breathe slowly, deeply, their sides rising and falling in a steady, comforting rhythm. Sheep were central to medieval life. Their wool clothed entire villages. Their presence meant warmth, survival, continuity. The shepherd knows each animal by habit, not by counting. Counting is unnecessary here. He leans slightly on his wooden staff, worn smooth by years of use. The wood carries the quiet scent of earth and old rain. Above him, the sky is changing. The last pale colors of daylight are fading slowly. So slowly. It is difficult to notice the moment they disappear. Blue becomes deeper blue, then darker still. And one by one, the stars begin to appear. Not all at once, not dramatically, just quietly, as though they have always been there and are simply becoming visible again. In the medieval world, the night sky was not decoration. It was instruction. There were no compasses here. No maps drawn on paper. For ordinary people, instead, travelers used the stars. The shepherd lifts his gaze upward, not with wonder, but with familiarity. He recognizes patterns, a curve of light, a cluster of points, a long line stretching across darkness. These shapes form a map that does not change, a map carried only in memory. The North Star sits calmly in its place, steady, unchanging. Medieval travelers trusted it. They believed it anchored the sky itself. The shepherd breathes in the cool night air. It smells of grass, distant soil, and something faintly sweet, perhaps wildflowers closing for the night. A breeze moves across the hill. It is gentle. It does not push or demand. It simply passes through, brushing the grass, touching the shepherd's cloak, then moving on. The sheep respond without waking. One shifts slightly. Another exhales more deeply. The world continues, quietly. The shepherd lowers himself to the ground, sitting with his back against a smooth stone, still warm from the day's sun. He removes a small object from his satchel. It is not parchment. It is not drawn with ink. It is a star map, not written, but remembered. He traces shapes in the air with one slow finger. This star leads east. That grouping marks the season. Medieval people often measured time by the movement of constellations, not calendars. The sky itself told them when to plant, when to harvest, when to travel, when to rest. The shepherd does not think in dates. He thinks in cycles. Above him, the stars feel close, almost reachable. There is no fear here, no urgency. Night is not something to escape. It is something to enter. The hill holds him. The sky watches quietly. And as you listen, you may notice your own breathing beginning to match the slow pace of this place, in and out. Nothing changes suddenly here. Nothing needs attention. The shepherd remains seated, eyes lifting, lowering, lifting again. The sheep continue their gentle rhythm. The breeze comes and goes, and the stars, patient and constant, remain exactly where they have always been. The night continues without effort. Nothing announces the passing of time. It simply moves, quietly, steadily, the way it always has. The shepherd remains on the hill, resting comfortably against the stone. His breathing is slow now, unmeasured, natural. Each breath cools his chest slightly as it enters, and warms again as it leaves. The sheep lie scattered around him, their wool thick and uneven, holding the day's warmth inside. In medieval life, sheep often slept outdoors, even in cool weather. Their bodies were designed for it. So were the people who watched over them. The shepherd listens, not for danger, not for change. He listens simply because listening is what fills the silence gently. There is the faint sound of grass shifting as a sheep adjusts its weight. A soft exhale. Then stillness again. Far away, something moves through the trees. Perhaps a night bird, perhaps only the wind. The shepherd does not try to identify it. Knowing is unnecessary. Above him, the stars continue their slow turning. In medieval times, people believed the heavens moved in perfect circles, guided by an order too vast to question. That belief was comforting. It meant the sky would not surprise them. The shepherd raises his hand once more, drawing an invisible line between stars. This line points south. That cluster marks the turning of the year. He learned these shapes not from books, but from another shepherd long ago. Knowledge passed quietly then, from voice to voice, from night to night. No rush, no pressure. The shepherd lowers his hand and lets it rest on the grass beside him. The ground is cool now, comfortingly cool. He presses his palm into the earth, feeling its steady firmness. The land does not move. It does not ask anything of him. And as you imagine this, you may notice a similar feeling in your own body. The sense of being held, supported, allowed to rest. There's nothing you must do next. The night does not expect action, only presence. A gentle breeze returns, slightly cooler than before. It carries the scent of distant fields and something faintly mineral, like stone cooling after sunset. The shepherd adjusts his cloak with one slow movement. Wool was heavy, sometimes scratchy, but reliable. It blocked wind, it trapped warmth. Medieval clothing was not made for beauty. It was made for endurance. The shepherd appreciates this without thinking about it. The stars above seem brighter now, as though the sky has finished settling. There is no moon tonight, or perhaps only a thin crescent, barely present. Without moonlight, the stars become clearer, more numerous. They stretch endlessly, layer upon layer. The shepherd has never counted them. No one has. He lies back now, allowing the stone to support his shoulders, his gaze opening fully to the sky. From this position, the hill disappears. There is only sky and breath and quiet awareness. This is how many medieval people rested outdoors, under open air, trusting the world to continue without supervision. The shepherd's eyes follow a slow-moving star, not a star, but a wandering light, a planet. Medieval observers call them wanderers because they moved differently than the fixed stars. They believed these wanderers held influence over seasons and moods. The shepherd does not assign meaning. He simply watches. Watching is enough. The sheep remain calm. Their breathing remains slow. Everything remains as it should be. And now, as the story continues, you may notice your thoughts becoming less defined. They may drift, stretch, fade, like clouds crossing a wide sky. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to stop them. Just allow them to pass as the shepherd allows the night to pass in and out. The hill does not change. The stars do not rush. The shepherd remains. And you, listening here, are invited to rest just as deeply. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to hear. Only the slow turning of the sky, the steady breath of sheep, and the quiet presence of a night that has known centuries of stillness. The night deepens without announcement. There is no signal to mark the change. It simply becomes more itself. The shepherd remains on the hill, lying comfortably now, his body fully supported by the earth beneath him. The stone against his back has cooled. It no longer holds the memory of sunlight. It holds only the quiet of night. His breathing has slowed further, not intentionally. It happens on its own. Each inhale arrives softly. Each exhale leaves without effort. The sheep continue their gentle rhythm. In medieval times, shepherds often slept among their flocks, not as guards, but as companions. The animals were familiar with the human presence, and the human learned to trust the quiet awareness of the animals. Trust moved both ways. A sheep lifts its head briefly, ears turning slightly toward the breeze. Nothing follows. The head lowers again. Stillness returns. The sky above has shifted just enough for the shepherd to notice. Stars that were once directly overhead have moved a little farther west. The movement is slow, almost impossible to perceive unless you remain still long enough. The shepherd smiles faintly. This is how time moves when no one is measuring it. In medieval life, hours were not precise. They were flexible, guided by light, by sound, by habit. Night was not divided into minutes. It was allowed to stretch. The shepherd closes his eyes for a moment, not to sleep, just to rest them. Behind his eyelids, the darkness is soft, not empty, just quiet. When he opens them again, the stars are still there. They always are. The North Star remains fixed, unchanged. Generations of travelers relied on it. Merchants, pilgrims, messengers, even those who could not read could follow the sky. The shepherd traces the familiar shape again, this time only in his thoughts. He no longer needs his hand. The map lives inside him now. The breeze returns, lighter than before. It moves across the hill like a slow breath. The grass responds with a faint rustle, not loud enough to disturb, just enough to be noticed. Somewhere far below, in a valley, unseen, a fire crackles inside a distant hearth. The shepherd cannot hear it, but he knows it exists. Medieval nights were filled with small, contained fires, each one holding warmth, light, and continuity. The thought is comforting. The world is not empty. It is simply quiet. The shepherd shifts his weight slightly, finding a position of complete ease. No muscle holds tension. No joint resists. His staff lies beside him, its shape familiar against the grass. The wood has darkened with age, polished by years of touch. Objects in medieval life were kept long, repaired, reused. Nothing was rushed to be replaced. This patience seeps into the night itself. And now, as you listen, you may notice your own body responding. Perhaps your shoulders soften. Perhaps your jaw releases slightly. Perhaps your breathing grows deeper without you asking it to. That is exactly right. There is no correct way to rest, only your way. The stars continue their slow arc. A faint streak appears briefly, a falling star. It does not surprise the shepherd. Medieval people often believed such moments were signs, but they did not chase them. They watched, then returned to stillness. The moment passes, the sky remains. The sheep breathe on. The hill remains unchanged. The shepherd's thoughts grow quieter now, not because he forces them away, but because they have nothing left to do. There is no planning here, no remembering, only being. The night has reached its deepest point. This is the hour when everything rests at once. No birds sing, no bells ring. Even the wind seems to pause. The shepherd closes his eyes again. This time, sleep approaches gently, not pulling, not demanding, just arriving. And as the shepherd drifts toward rest beneath the stars, you may feel that same invitation. You do not need to follow the story now. You do not need to listen closely. My voice can remain in the background, soft and steady, like the sky itself. The hill will stay. The stars will remain. Nothing important will change. And you are safe to rest. The night settles more fully now, not by changing, but by deepening into itself. Like a quiet thought that stretches and grows softer the longer it is held. The shepherd remains where he is, his body resting easily against the earth. The grass beneath him no longer feels cool or warm, it simply exists, steady and neutral, as though the land itself has stopped keeping track of such details. Above him, the stars continue their slow, patient turning, a movement so gradual that it can only be sensed when everything else has grown completely still. The shepherd's breathing has become almost indistinguishable from the night air around him. Inhale and exhale, blending into the rhythm of the hill, the sheep, and the open sky. The sheep remain close, their presence calm and grounding, their soft bodies forming pale shapes in the darkness. From time to time, one shifts slightly, wool brushing against grass, then settles again, reassured by the familiar nearness of the shepherd. In medieval life, this quiet companionship mattered. Animals and people shared the night not as something to conquer, but as something to pass through together. Slowly and without resistance, the shepherd's thoughts drift lazily, no longer forming full ideas. There is no need to plan the morning, no reason to count the hours until dawn. The stars will signal when it is time. They always do. He knows that before the sun rises, certain constellations will tilt just enough to mark the coming day, the way they have for centuries. This knowledge is not sharp or analytically, is soft, learned through repetition. Through long nights spent watching the same sky from different hills in different seasons, year after year. A breeze passes again, faint and unhurried, sliding across the hill and moving through the grass in a single gentle wave. It touches the shepherd's face, cool and clean, carrying the quiet scent of distant earth and open land. He does not react to it. His body simply accepts it, the way it accepts everything else tonight. Above him, the sky feels vast, yet strangely close, as though the stars are not far away at all, but resting just beyond reach, calmly observing. Medieval travelers believed the sky was ordered, purposeful, and dependable. The shepherd shares this belief, not because he was taught to, but because experience has shown it to be true. The stars do not rush. They do not disappear unexpectedly. They move as they always have, and that consistency brings a deep, unspoken comfort. Lying there beneath them, the shepherd feels no urgency to stay awake, no fear of letting his thoughts loosen their hold. The hill will remain. The sheep will remain. The stars will remain. His eyes close again, and this time they stay closed longer. Behind his eyelids, there's no imagery, no sharp sensation, lowly darkness, smooth and even, like deep water at rest. His breathing continues, slow and steady, each breath sinking him a little deeper into the ground beneath him, as though the earth itself is gently drawing him in, offering support without weight. And as the shepherd rests, the story no longer needs to move forward. It does not need new details or new directions. Everything important is already here. The quiet hill, the patient stars, the slow-breathing sheep, and the steady rhythm of a night that knows exactly what it is doing. The world feels complete in this moment, requiring nothing more. You may notice now that your own thoughts have grown quieter too, less interested in forming sentences or following ideas. That is perfectly fine. You do not need to listen closely anymore. My voice can soften into the background, blending with the imagined breeze and the distant, unchanging sky. Like the shepherd, you are allowed to rest without watching, to drift without direction, to let the night hold you gently where you are. Nothing else needs to happen. Nothing needs to change. The stars will continue their slow turning, whether you watch them or not. The night remains exactly as it is, unhurried and complete, as though it has reached a point where no further change is required. The shepherd lies still on the gentle slope of the hill, his body fully relaxed now, no longer distinguishing between where the earth begins. The ground supports him evenly, without pressure or demand, and the quiet seems to settle not just around him, but within him, smoothing the edges of thought until nothing sharp remains. Above, the stars continue their steady motion, their slow drift almost imperceptible, yet constant, reminding the world that time is passing without needing to be noticed. The sheep nearby remain calm and unmoving, their breathing deep and regular, a shared rhythm that fills the silence without disturbing it. In medieval nights like this, shepherds trusted this rhythm more than sight or sound. As long as the flock breathed evenly, all was well. That trust allows the shepherd to release the last small thread of alertness he has been holding. His shoulders soften further, his jaw slackens slightly, and his breathing sinks lower into his body, each breath flowing easily into the next without pause or effort. The air grows cooler as the night stretches on, though the change is so subtle it barely registers. The shepherd's woolen cloak adjusts naturally, trapping warmth and creating a small, steady pocket of comfort. Wool, in the medieval world, was a material of patience. Warmed slowly, cooled slowly, and lasted for years. Wrapped in it now, the shepherd feels insulated, not just from the need to respond to anything beyond this quiet moment. The world feels distant, yet safe, as though held at a respectful, restful distance. The sky above has taken on a deeper clarity, the stars sharper against the dark, their light steady and unflickering. Somewhere among them, the familiar patterns remain, marking directions and seasons as they always have. The shepherd does not consciously think of them anymore. The star map no longer needs to be traced or remembered. It exists whether he attends to it or not, just as the hill exists, just as the sheep exist, just as the night continues its slow, dependable unfolding. A faint sound drifts up from far below, perhaps wind moving through low trees, perhaps nothing at all. The shepherd does not react. His mind no longer tries to interpret or name sensations. They arrive, linger briefly, and fade, leaving no trace behind. This is how rest deepens naturally, not by force, but by gentle permission. The body understands this language well. It has been listening for it all along. As time passes, though it is no longer clear how much the shepherd's breathing grows even slower. Each inhale rising softly, each exhale settling him more fully into the earth. Sleep begins not as a sudden change, but as a gradual loosening, a quiet drifting away from wakefulness without resistance. His thoughts dissolve before they can form, leaving only a sense of presence, calm and weightless, like floating beneath a wide, open sky. The sheep remain close, their warmth faintly perceptible even in the cool night air, their presence anchoring the scene in gentle reality. Medieval nights were often shared like this, human and animal resting side by side, guided by instinct and familiarity rather than worry. The shepherd's body remembers this ancient rhythm, responding easily, naturally, as though it has always known how to rest this way. Now, the story no longer asks anything of you. There is nothing to follow, nothing to imagine more clearly, nothing to hold in mind. The hill remains. The stars continue their slow, silent movement. The night holds everything in a steady, unchanging balance. My voice can fade further now, becoming part of the background, like distant wind or far-off earth breathing. If sleep has already arrived, that is perfectly fine. If it is still approaching, it will do so gently in its own time. There is no rush. There never was. Everything is calm. Everything is steady. The night feels settled now, as though it has found its final, most comfortable position and intends to remain there for a long while. The shepherd no longer shifts or adjusts. His body has discovered exactly how to rest, and it holds that position effortlessly, without thought. The earth beneath him feels steady and dependable, neither hard nor soft, simply present, quietly doing its work. Above, the stars continue their slow, ancient movement, tracing paths so familiar that they no longer draw attention. Only a sense of quiet assurance that everything is unfolding as it should. The air has grown slightly cooler, but the change is gentle, gradual enough that it blends into comfort rather than discomfort. The shepherd's cloak holds warmth close, creating a small, protected space where the night cannot intrude. Medieval nights often required this kind of quiet endurance, and bodies learned to adapt, to settle into stillness without complaint. The shepherd's breathing reflects this, now deep, even, and unbroken, each breath flowing naturally into the next, like waves that rise and fall without reaching a shore. The sheep remain close, their presence soft and constant. Their breathing forms a barely audible rhythm, a shared pulse of life that fills the darkness without disturbing it. There is no need to watch them, no need to listen closely. Their calm has already communicated everything necessary. In times long past, this quiet trust allowed shepherds to rest fully, knowing that the night itself would signal if anything required attention. Tonight, nothing does. Thoughts have thinned now, stretching out until they dissolve before becoming clear. The mind no longer seeks direction or meaning. It drifts gently, floating somewhere between awareness and rest, like a slow-moving cloud crossing a wide, empty sky. Sensations come and go without attachment. The faint pressure of the ground, the coolness of the air, the distant sense of open space above each, one appearing briefly, then fading, leaving only quiet behind. The stars continue their patient turning, unseen, now behind closed eyes, yet still present, still reliable. Medieval travelers trusted these unseen movements completely, believing that even when hidden by darkness or cloud, the sky remained steady and true. The shepherd shares this trust instinctively. He does not need to see to know. The night is doing exactly what it has always done. Time stretches, loosens, and loses its shape. Minutes no longer feel separate from one another. They blend together into a single, continuous moment of rest. Somewhere far away, the world continues, villages sleeping, fires burning low, paths lying empty beneath the same stars. But none of that reaches the hill. Here, everything is quiet, contained, and complete. The shepherd's body grows heavier, not in discomfort, but in surrender. Muscles release completely. Breathing deepens further. Sleep moves closer, not as an event, but as a state that gently surrounds him, like darkness slowly filling a room. There is no edge to cross, no moment to mark. One breath simply leads into the next, and wakefulness fades naturally, without effort. And as the shepherd drifts deeper into rest, you are invited to do the same. There is nothing left to imagine, clearly, nothing left to hold on to. My voice can soften even further now, becoming part of the quiet background, blending with the sense of open sky and still ground. You do not need to follow the story anymore. It will continue on its own, just as the night continues, whether attended to or not. The night now feels vast and weightless, as though it has expanded beyond edges, beyond boundaries, becoming a single, continuous space of quiet. The shepherd rests within it without effort, his body completely at ease, his awareness drifting somewhere gentle and undefined. The hill no longer feels like a place he is lying upon, but something that holds him naturally, as if the earth itself has recognized his stillness and responded in kind. There is no sensation that stands out any more, only a general sense of comfort, of being exactly where he is meant to be. Breathing continues, slowly, steadily, without thought. Each breath arrives softly, leaves just as quietly, and makes room for the next. The rhythm has become so familiar that it fades into the background, like a sound heard so often it no longer needs attention. The sheep remain nearby, though even their presence has softened into something abstract, not individual shapes, not separate beings, but a calm, collective warmth resting alongside him in the darkness. Medieval nights often carried this feeling, where distinctions blurred and the world felt simple, unified, and untroubled. Above, the stars continue their slow turning, though they are no longer something to look at or follow. They exist whether they are seen or not, moving gently through the sky in patterns older than memory. Long ago, people trusted these movements without question, believing that as long as the stars kept their paths, the world remained in balance. That belief settles here now, not as a thought, but as a feeling, quiet certainty that nothing needs to be watched over, that everything continues safely on its own. Time stretches further, losing its edges completely. There is no sense of before or after, only a smooth, uninterrupted present. The shepherd's mind drifts without forming images or words, floating gently in a space where nothing is required. Sensations soften until they barely register. The faint coolness of air, the steady support of the ground, the distant openness of the sky. Each one passes through awareness like a slow breath, then fades again. The night feels deeper now, fuller, as though it has gathered all remaining movement into stillness. No wind stirs the grass. No distant sound rises from the valleys below. Even the sense of listening begins to fade, replaced by a quiet emptiness that feels peaceful rather than empty. This is the hour when the world rests most completely, when even time seems to pause and wait. The shepherd is no longer holding himself awake. Sleep has drawn close enough to blur the boundary between rest and awareness. Thoughts dissolve before they begin, leaving only a soft, drifting presence. His body feels heavy and light at the same time, heavy with relaxation, light with release. The night accepts him fully, just as it has accepted countless others before him, lying beneath the same stars on hills just like this one. And now you may notice that the story itself has grown quieter too. There's less to describe, less to say, because everything has settled into its final, most restful state. My voice can become even softer, slower, blending into the background until it feels like part of the night itself. You do not need to listen anymore. You do not need to imagine. You do not need to follow anything forward. The hill remains. The stars continue their silent paths. The night no longer feels like something surrounding the shepherd. It feels like something he is resting inside of, gently suspended, without edges or direction. The sense of the hill beneath him has softened into a quiet certainty that he is supported, that nothing is required of his body anymore. Breathing continues, slow and deep, but even that feels distant now, as though it belongs more to the night than to him. Awareness drifts in and out, like a tide that no longer reaches the shore, only rising and falling somewhere far away. The sheep nearby are no longer distinct shapes or sounds. Their presence has merged into the calm itself, a quiet warmth woven into the darkness. Medieval nights often carried this kind of shared stillness, where living things rested together under the same sky, guided not by thought, but by instinct and familiarity. The shepherd does not need to know where each sheep is. He does not need to listen for movement. The night has gathered everything into balance. Above, the stars continue their slow turning, unseen but unchanged. Even without looking, their presence feels steady, reliable, and constant. Long ago, people believed the stars were fixed points in a moving world, anchors in the vastness of the sky. That belief settles here now, not as an idea, but as a deep sense of stability. Nothing is shifting too fast. Nothing is coming suddenly. Everything is moving exactly as it always has. Time no longer stretches or passes. It simply rests. Moments blend together until they lose all distinction, forming a single, quiet space where nothing begins and nothing ends. The shepherd's thoughts have faded completely, leaving only a soft awareness that drifts gently without focus. There are no images, no memories, no plans, only the calm presence of being held by the earth and the night. The air feels smooth and cool, flowing without sensation, touching without pressure. The body responds by sinking deeper into stillness. Muscles fully released, weight evenly distributed. There is no need to adjust, no impulse to move. The position is perfect because nothing is asking it to be otherwise. This is how rest was meant to feel natural, effortless, unremarkable. The story itself has nearly disappeared now. There is very little left to say, because nothing new is happening, and nothing needs to. The shepherd sleeps, or nearly sleeps, drifting in that quiet space where awareness fades gently, without notice. The hill remains unchanged. The stars continue their patient paths. The night holds everything in a calm, unbroken stillness. You may no longer be listening closely. That is exactly right. My voice can fade into the background, becoming just another soft presence in the dark, like distant wind or faraway space. You do not need to follow words anymore. You do not need to stay aware. Sleep is free to take over completely. Nothing will disturb this moment. Nothing needs attention. Everything is calm. Everything is steady. And you can rest here deeply and safely as long as you wish. The night has become a gentle presence, not around the shepherd, but within him. There is no distinction between where the hill ends and where he begins. No separation between air, earth, and body. Everything has slowed to a single rhythm, a quiet pulse that flows without observation. Breath comes and goes, soft and even, but it is no longer important to notice. Awareness drifts lightly, like a feather floating in still air, moving without direction or intention, melting into the night that holds it safely. The sheep, the grass, the quiet hill, the invisible path of the stars above have blended into one continuous calm. In medieval nights like this, shepherds learned to trust this seamless stillness. Nothing needed action. Nothing demanded attention. Everything simply existed, and that existence was enough. The shepherd rests in that knowledge, though no thought is needed to hold it. The mind has softened entirely, leaving only a vast, empty comfort. A space where nothing presses, nothing asks, nothing moves too quickly. Time is gone. Minutes and hours do not matter. They have melted into a single, unbroken now. There is no sense of before or after. There is only the steady weightlessness of the night and the quiet that it brings. The stars, though unseen behind closed eyes, continue their patient, measured turning, marking movement without urgency, marking continuity without drama. The shepherd does not see them, but their steadiness exists in the feeling of the night, and in that feeling, the world is right. All sensations are minimal, almost imperceptible. The faint pressure of the earth, the whisper of air across the skin, the subtle warmth of the woolen cloak haul have become part of the calm. They require no attention, no evaluation. They simply exist and are enough. Muscles are fully released. Every joint is at ease. Even the smallest tension has faded, absorbed into the earth and the night itself. The body rests as it was meant to, effortlessly, with nothing to do, nothing to hold, nothing to change. Thoughts have almost completely dissolved. If a stray image appears, it drifts like a cloud and disappears just as quickly. There are no words, no plans, no memories pressing in. There is only the quiet space between in-breath and out-breath, only the slow, even pulse of existence. Sleep has arrived, whether recognized or not. It drifts through the shepherd now as a soft, unspoken current, pulling lightly, easily, allowing surrender without force. The night, the hill, the sheep, and the stars continue together, a single, steady presence. There is nothing to do here, nothing to attend, nothing to watch. Everything is exactly as it should be. My voice has faded almost entirely, becoming part of the background, another layer of stillness, no longer carrying the story forward, only blending into the calm that surrounds you. Sleep moves in deeper, quiet, patient, complete. The air is soft. The earth holds. The hill supports. The stars move without notice. And you, like the shepherd, can sink fully into this endless, gentle night, drifting deeper with each breath, resting completely, allowing yourself to rest, allowing yourself to sleep. There is no need to remain aware. There is no need to imagine. There is only the vast, safe, gentle stillness that the night provides. You are entirely safe. You are entirely calm. You are entirely at rest. Sleep continues to deepen, soft and unhurried. The shepherd is held. The stars are steady. The sheep breathe quietly. And the night carries everything in its patient, unwavering presence. Nothing else is required. Nothing else matters. Nothing else exists except the calm, the weightless drifting, the complete surrender to this moment. And so the night continues endlessly, gently, perfectly. The shepherd sleeps. You may sleep, and everything remains exactly safe, steady, quiet, and complete. The night now feels infinite, stretching quietly in every direction, carrying with it a gentle, steady stillness. The shepherd is entirely at rest, nestled into the hill, the weight of his body fully supported, fully accepted, fully held by the earth beneath him. There is no need to move, no need to adjust, no need to notice anything. Every breath is soft, even, and slow, as if it has always been part of the night itself. Awareness drifts, lightless, almost invisible, surrendering to the calm that surrounds everything. The stars continue their silent journey above, though they are no longer something to follow or track. They exist simply, unchanging, as a quiet presence that does not demand attention, that does not require awareness. The sheep lie still, their breathing steady and even, becoming part of the fabric of the night itself. The hill, the earth, the air, and the night are united in perfect stillness, and the shepherd rests within it without effort or thought. There is nothing else that matters, nothing else that needs to be held, nothing else that requires presence. The air is gentle, moving softly across skin, across grass, across wool. It carries the faintest sense of the distant world, but it does not intrude. It passes and fades, leaving only the calm. Muscles are completely relaxed. Every joint is loose. Every tension has dissolved into the earth. Sleep moves easily, naturally, fully, and there is no need to resist it. Sleep is not arriving. It has already arrived. A slow tide filling the space, filling the body, filling the mind with weightless rest. The story has disappeared now, leaving only the night. Words have faded. Images have faded. There's nothing to follow, nothing to imagine, nothing to remember. Even the sound of this voice is fading, blending into the background, becoming part of the stillness itself, until it is indistinguishable from the quiet presence of the night, the hill, the stars, and the shepherd. You are safe. You are calm. You are fully at rest. The hill holds you. The earth supports you. The night carries you. There is nothing to do, nothing to watch, nothing to think. Every thought drifts away before it forms. Every sense softens, merges, fades. Sleep is complete. Peace is complete. You are complete. There is only the gentle, infinite stillness, stretching softly in every direction, without beginning and without end. The shepherd sleeps. The sheep breathe. The stars turn. The night waits patiently, fully, silently, holding everything exactly as it is. And you can rest here, drifting fully, completely, deeply, letting the night take care of all else. The shepherd remains asleep beneath the stars, the gentle rise and fall of his breath perfectly in rhythm with the calm of the night. The sheep lie quietly around him, their presence a soft, steady warmth that blends into the hill and the earth beneath. The stars turn slowly overhead, constant and patient, carrying the quiet promise of continuity as they have for countless nights before. The air is soft and still, the world held in gentle suspension. Nothing pressing, nothing urgent, nothing to disturb this perfect stillness. And now, the story itself dissolves completely. There are no words left to follow, no images to hold, no paths to imagine. Only the quiet, endless night, holding everything exactly as it is. Your body is fully supported, fully relaxed. Your mind drifts, weightless, floating in the gentle, steady calm that surrounds you. Sleep is complete. Peace is complete. Everything is exactly as it should be. The hill, the shepherd, the sheep, and the stars remain together in quiet harmony. You are held here in the same gentle embrace. Nothing else matters. Nothing else exists. The night carries all, steady and unwavering, and you are free to rest completely, deeply, endlessly. Sleep now, fully. Drift fully, rest fully, and let the night keep everything gently as it is, letting you float quietly into dreams, calm and safe under the timeless stars.